What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for another update, looking at the news over the weekend, and we're going to start off with outgoings as per usual. And let's start off with this Jed Spence story, as Sasha Tavaleri says that Genoa are set to end their interest in Jed Spence, with Tottenham wanting at least €7 million. The 10 million release clause is valid for the Italian side until June. Instead, Genoa are going to be focusing their targets elsewhere. So same old story with Spurs.
Well, I hope this was a bit of posturing, and maybe it's they're threatening to put out the deal. Essentially, they're putting out some feelers to some reporters that hopefully push Tottenham to lower their asking price, and hopefully this deal can still. I think, look, this is not unusual for deals involving Tottenham, where teams obviously want to use a bit of power of the media to get the other party to drive down the price. So I don't think this is over, but of course, it was always going to be difficult for Tottenham to get the asking price they want, seeing as we really want rid of him so badly, and Genoa know that, don't they?
Yeah. To be fair, it was the kind of similar story with Jed Spence coming the other way. We heard it's on, it's off, it's on, it's off, all the way through till the final day. Well, very close to the end of the transfer window. Emerson Royale, there's a few quotes coming out from him from an interview he's done, and he says, "I've always fought to be in the national team, and I will continue to do so. My next step ahead of next season will be based on that. Whether I stay at Tottenham or leave, it's always about playing for my place in the national team. It's going to be a fight for that. I'll have to have a meeting with my agents in the next few days because it's a very important decision that I have to make now. I know that Milan is in talks with Tottenham. They are asking for information about me. For me, it is very gratifying because Milan is a team known for having Brazilian players. Let's wait and see what happens." So he's not making it a secret about the Milan links.
No, and also it kind of it kind of goes to what Ali Gold was saying in terms of Ali Gold was saying there's no talks between Tottenham and Milan, and now it's pretty much confirmed by Emerson. So this is what I was saying when Ali Gold said that. I was like, yeah, that's probably what Tottenham are feeding him. But obviously, there's obviously talks. I think there's no smoke without fire here. So let's hope we can get this deal done. I think it'll be best for everyone. And they do have a long history of Brazilian players, AC Milan. So hopefully Emerson could be the next one in line.
Touch wood, let's hope so. Let's talk about potential incomings. Simon Mullock from the Mirror says that Tottenham are in pole position to land final defender Luciano Geertruida. Liverpool's reluctance to make the deal happen quickly has opened the door for Spurs, who watched Geertruida regularly last season and are hoping he opts for them ahead of Paris. We know that he was at the Spurs Stadium, wasn't he, with Santiago Jimenez for the North London derby earlier this year. I mean, it'll be a major coup for the club if we can pull this one off.
Yeah, but I think getting deals done quickly is not exactly our forte, is it? So if Liverpool can't get it done quickly, can Tottenham get it done any quicker? I mean, I question that. I would love it to be the case. I think it'd be a perfect signing for us in terms of he's a player who's versatile, high quality, can fit into the style we want, good technical player. Obviously, he's out of the Euros at the moment. Is he going to want to finalise the transfer while he's, part of the Dutch national team? I don't know. So I'm not convinced that we're willing to put our money where our mouth is in terms of if Liverpool, I don't know why they're waiting or if that's what the report is saying, but if Liverpool also want to drive down the price, I can't see Tottenham not doing that. So I don't know if we're gonna jump in the queue just because Liverpool are kind of holding fire for now.
I just feel like this is going to be a waiting game for whoever wants him, to be honest. And I think that I don't believe the report saying that Tottenham have jumped ahead of Liverpool in the queue. I just feel like there's going to be a waiting just because he's playing at the Euros. I think that's what it's just going to come down to. And I think we'll see that probably move a lot quicker after the Netherlands are knocked out from the Euros. Another right back Spurs are linked with is Man City's Jan Couto. The Sun are reporting that Tottenham are interested in Man City right back Jan Couto. However, Man City have demanded £40 million for the defender, which is nuts fee. He did have a really good season out on loan at Girona last season, grabbing himself 10 assists and 1 goal in La Liga. He is 22 years of age, Brazilian right back. And yeah, Man City are open to let him go, but they want 40 million apparently.
Yeah, it's crazy. Obviously, Man City have done really well out of their relationship with Girona, haven't they? We've just got Savio back. Obviously, I know Pedro Porro was part of that. The dealings between those two clubs as well. And
I think Savio actually came from Troyes.
No, it's a complicated deal, but Girona are involved, and he did come from Troyes, but I think there's something dodgy going on with those all those clubs as well.
I think the City group own all three, to be fair.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, look, he's had a great season, as you say. 40 million is a massive outlay. I think when it comes to again signing a player who's probably going to be in competition or maybe back up to Porro, 40 million is a big outlay, and I think there was a similar problem with Anderson. I don't see Tottenham going and spending 40 million on Vanderson, and I don't see Tottenham spending 40 million on him either. So I think if we're going to go for a right back, I think it'll be a cheaper option. Or if it is someone like Geertruida, someone who's if he's going to be more expensive, he's going to have to be versatile, so he can play a few different roles.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at Jan Kuto and the season that he's had last year and the age he is. Already had 4 caps for Brazil. I mean, surely he's a player that could be the heir to like Kyle Walker's throne at Man City. So I wouldn't guess against like him staying at Man City for the foreseeable future. To be fair,
Could happen.
let's talk about this story with Carlos Alcaraz. Alan Nixon says that Tottenham are lining up a swap deal with Southampton to see Joe Rodon join the Saints permanently and 21-year-old Argentinian Carlos Alcaraz to join Spurs. Alcaraz joined Juventus on the last day of the transfer window in January on loan, made 12 appearances, no goal contributions. And he says Tottenham are keen on Southampton's 30 million rated Carlos Alcaraz and could use Joe Rodon as a make weight. Tottenham was said to be interested in Alcaraz from Racing Club in 2022 before he moved to Southampton, and Don Paratici was leading the charge at that point, with Arsenal and Real Madrid both interested in him at that time. Since then, since he's gone to Southampton, I was actually, I remember discussing him with you the year Southampton went down, and I was actually quite impressed with him. I liked him. I liked the look of him. Yeah, he was at 20 years of age then, now 22. He's gone to Juventus, hasn't really done much. Didn't really do that much in the first half of the season in the Championship either. So what's your thoughts?
Yeah, it would be a very interesting move. I think clearly he's a player with a lot of potential. I think we saw that in his short spell in the Premier League when he was at Southampton. Did score at the Emirates, I remember, but I think it was a mistake from Ramsdale, if memory serves me right. But he did show a lot of quality, and clearly he's a good player. I mean, as backup to Maddison, it would be the worst deal in the world. But
You also play up front.
Yeah, no, I don't really see him as a striker, but maybe he could play up front, I guess.
I mean, he's versatile, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, he's quite versatile. He can play a few different roles. It would be an interesting one because, as you say, last year didn't really go his way. So I was really expecting him to kick on after a really positive season in the Premier League, where he looked like a player of real talent. Obviously, Southampton ended up getting relegated, but he tried his best to kind of keep them in the division. Didn't quite work out. So it would be an interesting move if Tottenham feel like, yes, he's not had a good season, but they see the potential and the value there. And maybe they're thinking there's a potential to get him on a cheap deal because of the whole Rodon thing. And maybe if we get him while his stock is low and we know he's a player who has a lot more to offer, all of a sudden, in a year's time, you could be looking at a player who's worth a lot more and who has a lot of high potential. So I understand it. And I think as backup to Maddison, I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all, to be honest. But I would much rather go for, obviously, you spend a lot more money, go for someone like Ezen, has a few positions covered. But it would be an interesting move. It would be a very interesting move. I mean, would come out of the blue completely.
Let's move on and let's talk about a youngster in Giovanni Leone. Fabrizio Romano says that Tottenham Hotspur are tracking Italian centre-back Giovanni Leone. Leone came up the ranks at Padova and was recently promoted to their first team last summer. And after just 6 months, he got a move on a short-term loan to Sampdoria in Serie B, where he had a string of very impressive performances. La Repubblica say that Tottenham risk potentially being drawn into a bidding war for Sampdoria youngster Giovanni Leone, with a number of clubs lining up for him on the back of his performances for Sampdoria. Multiple Serie A clubs are ready to prize him away, but they are not the only ones interested, as Spurs are very keen on his signature too. And I imagine this one could be one driven by Paratici. He is 17 years old.
Yeah, so again, I'm not expecting us to sign him and him to be involved straight away. Obviously, we've got a plethora of very talented young centre-backs at this football club at the moment.
It feels like we're just scanning all the centre-backs from around the world.
Yeah, and why not? And I think to stockpile a lot of talent will be positive. Obviously, you don't want to do too much because you don't want to stagnate their progression and all of a sudden then these players are not fulfilling their potential. But you can see Chelsea down the years stockpiling a lot of talented youngsters, and then you can either use them in the first team or you sell them for quite a good fee, and then that's quite a good way of going about things. So if you see that model, it's quite a clever thing to do, I would say, getting a lot of talent, young talent. But you have to make sure that if you do that, that you grow them in the right way. You give them the platform to show what they're all about, either whether that be through loan deals or you're giving them an opportunity. I think sometimes you can be in danger of having a lot of talent, but them not fulfilling their potential if you're not, doing it right, essentially. So Tottenham over the last, 5 years or so, haven't really done their best at probably getting the most out of their young talented players, you would say, and a lot of them have felt like they had to move away. So we have to just be careful that we're doing things in the right way. But I'm all for buying up talented players, and hopefully we can use them in the future.
Let's finish off talking about Michael Coyote, which is actually a really interesting update, this one. It's from Nicolo Ciccarani, who's actually a tier 1 source out in Italy. And he says Tottenham are interested in Fiorentina's right back, Michael Coyote. And why this one's so interesting to me is because he's just had a bit of a breakout year in Serie A, Fiorentina, playing 26 games, 1 goal, 2 assists. He's got call-ups to the Italy under-21 squad off the back of it. He's 19 years of age. And it seems to be a bit of like a Destiny Udogie signing.
Yeah, I think you're going to add more to that. That would be promising. Obviously, Udogie we signed at also 19. He went on to go get into the Serie A Team of the Year, off the back of a 1-year loan. We used him back, and he was absolutely brilliant. I think this would make sense because I don't know how much it would cost, but I envisage it would be a lot less than a Vanderson or the guy from Girona,
His market value on transfer market's 25 million.
So maybe not cheap. Yeah, that isn't cheap. But he's only, as you said, just had a breakout year, so his value is skyrocketing very quickly. At 19, he's not going to be commanding a first choice slot in front of Porro, but also given what he's shown so far, maybe he is a player who can fill in, and we can rotate him with Porro in certain games as well. So that'd be really encouraging. But as you say, if we sign him, loan him back for a year, and then allow him to progress even more, and then we have another right back in a year's time. The question is, what do we do this season if we do loan him back? So that would be a question. I would think if we're signing him for decent money, we'll probably keep him. I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, the way I likened it to Destiny Udogie wasn't because I was expecting him to loan him back, but just because Destiny, had that mad breakout year for Udinese where he got left back of the season, and then we signed him off the back of that, where Michael didn't get right back of the season, but he has had a sensational year, starting week in, week out for Fiorentina at the age of 19 at right back with his marauding runs up the right-hand side. So I would really like to see this one happen, and I think this one could be actually... I think it could be more likely than a Vanderson or a Jan Couto.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. But that is your Tottenham update for today. We'll be back in the studio tomorrow. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always,
come on, you Spurs.